Alright, so we're checking out the HGLRC C1 transmitter. So this is an Express LRS or ELRS RC transmitter. Obviously, kind of bare bones here. There's no screen. It doesn't operate on OpenTX or EdgeTX. So it's a bare bones, basic Express LRS transmitter for, I guess, starting out for beginners, maybe first timers. That's kind of who they're targeting here. This does come in a number of different bundles, so you're going to have to, when you go to the HGLRC website or some of the other stores like on AliExpress or elsewhere, you're going to want to make sure you know which options you're selecting, because sometimes just go there. If you just sometimes the first option might be like the cheapest one, which might just be the dongle only, which is this thing here. You want to be careful that you don't pick that one, and because you'll just get this and nothing else. So be careful what you get. The radio by itself is, I believe, regular price is $56 or $55, $95. And if you choose some of the other options with the dongle, for example, then the price is going to be more. Obviously, prices are going to vary in the future, and also in which store you go to. So for those of you guys that are just looking for a basic RC transmitter, you have nothing, you're just starting out in FPV, and you just want to get the transmitter for use on simulators, then I would just pick this one and maybe select the dongle. I'll talk about this here. This could be pretty useful for you, so may not want to dismiss it. So I think this is an additional $15 to $20 depending on where you get it at. So yeah, back to the radio. We'll talk about this first and what you get with it. So just be careful which option you select, because you can get the radio, you get the radio with the dongle. You do have to buy the battery separately. So you can see here, it comes in this translucent case here. These two purple batteries here. These are 18650s, and mine came pre-installed because this is a review unit. These are a separate purchase. So the radio will be like $56, and then if you want to get two batteries, they come in a set of two. I think it's another $10, $9.99 for those, and you will need to install that. It does come with a little hex key here to install the batteries, and there's 4 hex screws, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you remove those 4 screws, and the back will come off, and then this second circuit board is attached to the main circuit board, and then you'll be able to install the batteries. I think there's you'll need the Phillips head screwdriver, which is also included, to remove there's some retaining plates inside here that hold the battery down. So you will need to install that because it does not come pre-installed from the factory. It's a little tricky to get them in, but it's not terribly difficult. So if you get the radio, you're going to get a few other things here. So you're going to get this neck strap. It's not bad. It's got a metal clasp here. And of course it attaches to the radio here. So if you want to hang this off of your neck, you can do that. And this is actually pretty decent. I like this little design here. It does have a quick release as well. So if you want to release the radio from your neck, but not take the neck strap off, you can do that. And it's a nice soft fabric. I kind of like that they included that, because some people like using neck straps. I personally don't, but some people do. You get a USB-C cable. This is for charging the radio, and the USB-C port is up on top here. And you get a couple other things. You get some stickers, and then you get this QR code, which is the link to the manual, so you can scan that, and I'll put the link to this down in the video description as well. It's a PDF file. The first part of it is in Chinese, so you have to go to the second page. That's going to be all in English. And I'm not going to cover the manual. Is actually not so great. It has a lot of broken English in it. I think they took the Chinese manual and then used Google Translate and all that stuff. I'll show you all the basics and how everything functions in this one, so you pretty much figure that out through this video. They include this patch antenna. I'm not 100% sure what this is for. There's the UFL connector here. Now, in the manual, it has something to do with this dongle, and I'm not sure where that would be connected to. So this dongle here is basically, in a nutshell, an Express LRS receiver that you can bind the radio to this, and then this plugs into your PC, so you can use USB-A and as USB-C. So you can plug into your PC or maybe a smartphone, and then it will act as a USB joystick. And so you bind the radio to this, and then this will show up on your computer or smartphone as a USB joystick, and then you can then use this with simulators. And this is actually the method I would recommend going, because this is going to have the least amount of latency. You can use this in a Bluetooth mode. This does have ExpressLRS Bluetooth joystick mode. I'll show you how to enable that. It does work, but there's a little bit of added latency that kind of messes up the experience. Some people don't really notice it as much. I don't notice it that much, but sometimes it can kind of mess you up. I think for a beginner, it probably won't matter as much, but if you're going to be doing more, say like, for example, you've been flying this for a while and you want to do some more, I guess, sophisticated acro tricks, freestyle tricks, for example, then that latency might come into play, and you might want to pick this up. So basically, this is an ExpressLRS receiver that plugs into your PC, and then you just bind the transmitter to this, and then there's an on-off switch over here. So basically, to bind it, you plug it into your device as power, and then turn it off. And then in order to put it in the bind mode, because it doesn't come bound from the factory, obviously because they don't sell it together as a bundle. So you have to be off, and then you have to turn it on, off, on, off, on. So 3 times. Standard way of binding to any ExpressLRS receiver, you just basically power it 3 times. And then the 3rd time it's powered on, it will go into bind mode. And then let me show you how the bind mode works on this. So once this goes into bind mode, you have to use these button combinations here, because there's no screen here, there's no HTX, no OpenTX here. So you have to use these button combinations to enable certain modes for this to work. So it's not sure. Okay, yeah, it's kind of hard to see. It's kind of this translucent case here, but you can see the word bind there. It's a bind button, and you have a set button here, and then you have your switches. So you have let's see here, this SWA is this one here. And this is a latching switch. So this is a virtual latching switch. So basically you press it, and then it'll engage, and it'll go to the high position, and then you press it again, and it'll disengage, and it'll go to the low position. It's not a physical latching switch, so it's a virtual latching switch, so be aware of that. You have A, and then you have B, which is a 3-position switch. Like this is like a toggle switch here, 3 positions, and then this is SWC, 3 positions, and then this is D here, also another latching switch. Anyway, to put the radio into bind mode, you're going to press the bind button while the radio is off. So you can press and hold the bind button, and then turn on the radio. Then you'll see the flashing light here. That means that the radio is in bind mode. And if it doesn't see anything to bind to, it will just turn the radio on, and then this light will turn on here, and then you know the radio is powered on. So let's go and turn it off here. And just obviously turn on the radio, you just long press the button. You hear three beeps, and you have your power on indicator here. It's white. To change the power level of this one, it goes from 100 to 250 to 500. There are 3 different power levels. And what you're going to do is you're going to, while the radio is on, you're going to hold the set button down and then short press the bind button. And then that will toggle the different power levels. So press and hold the set button, and then short press the bind button. And then it goes to this blue light here. I'm not sure if it comes out in the camera that well. That's 250 milliwatts. The white is 100 milliwatts. And then press it again. And we have the red light here, and that is 500 milliwatts. Now, on this kind of radio with ExpressLRS at 500 milliwatts, even though there is a heatsink that you can't see there, you kind of see it right there. There is a heatsink on the main RF chip that will produce a fair amount of heat at 500 milliwatts. It's hard to say how well this is going to function in terms of long range, because there's no ability to reduce the packet rate. I believe it's either 250 hertz or 500 hertz is the standard on this one. And because there's no way to adjust that, at least on this firmware that it came with, I'm not sure how viable this is going to be for your long range activities. So for those of you who are like, future long range pilots, I would say start off on this radio, and then maybe move on to something else a little bit later for long range type flying, because I'm not sure if I would trust 500 milliwatts on this, because even though it does have a heatsink on that chip there is, I think over a longer period of time, if you're flying, if this is on 500 milliwatts for a fair amount of time, that heat needs to go somewhere. This is an enclosed case. There's no active cooling. You may have some packet loss. So I haven't tested that. So I might be completely wrong on that, but I'm guessing that there's a reason why most of the Express LRS transmitters out there, or transmitter modules out there that have more than 500 milliwatts or 500 milliwatts or 1 watt power ratings, they all have active cooling. They have fans. This does have a heat sink, but I think over a longer period of time, heat might build up. Now, you might be able to modify this and put a fan in there. Of course, that's way beyond the skill level of any beginner, and then maybe that doesn't mean you're going to have a problem. But just letting you know that if you're like getting this specifically because it does 500 milliwatts for long range, I'm not sure how useful that's going to be for you, because not only are you going to want to have the 500 milliwatts and you're going to want to have active cooling, you're going to also want to be able to reduce your packet rate down to like 50 hertz or 100 hertz. So the gimbals on here are just pretty basic plastic gimbals. They're potentiometer sensors, and you've seen these gimbals before. They were in this GRC tiny radio that I reviewed maybe like a year ago. It's been a while. They're the exact same gimbals, at least on the face. I didn't compare the internals. They're probably from the same manufacturer wherever they source these from. In fact, the Express LRS firmware, I guess the base firmware is the same on both of these. I think it's the DIY 2.4 gigahertz E28 branch. Now, I don't really know in terms of firmware upgrades, like what can be done about that. If you want me to do a deep dive on that, ask me in the comments below specifically why you would want that, because this is a starter transmitter, and I'm not really sure how much of an audience there is for like deep diving on a tear down and all this kind of stuff, modifications. But let me know your reasons why in the comments below. Maybe I'll make another video on my second channel. But yeah, this is basically the same radio in a different format. This does the same. The GRC did the 100, 250, and 500 milliwatts. I don't know if there's a heatsink on the RF chip on this one because it didn't do a tear down. But this one has this square boxy shape, which some people like, and then it's got these physical metal switches that can sometimes break off if you drop the radio. Same with the antenna. It's removable. You can remove the antenna, but it could also break off if you drop the radio. They've solved that problem with the HGLRC C1. No antenna to break off, no switches to break off if you drop it. So that's an advantage, I think. And then the antenna is right there. And I think it's on a UFL connector, which maybe this is what the patch antenna is for, is maybe if you want to open it up and switch the dipole that's buried right there for a patch antenna. Maybe you could put that there and then stick the patch antenna right here so you can point it at your drone. I don't know. It was not really documented that well in the manual. But yeah, again, if you want to see a deep dive, I might do a follow-up video on my second channel later. But anyway, back to the gimbals. You can see that they're identical, but on the GRC, the gimbals are pretty much straight up and down. But on the HGLRC, if you look at the way the gimbals are, they are kind of splayed off at an angle to the right and the left like this. So I don't know. For me, in my opinion, I personally like this ergonomics better. The shape, the way you can hold it in your hand, and the fact that the gimbals are a little bit angled outside, I think that just makes it a little bit more comfortable. Also, the distance of the two gimbals is a little bit different. It's hard to see on camera, but it's a little bit wider on the HGLRC, which some people would prefer as well. So, again, it really boils down to personal preference. Some people are going to like this a lot better. Some people are going to like the GRC a lot better. And by the way, this is on Express LRS version 3 firmware. The GRC tiny radio, I believe, is still on Express LRS version 2. So I'm not sure if any of the more recent batches have been upgraded or not. If you happen to know, let me know in the comments below if you've gotten this recently and it's on ELRS 3. If it's still on ELRS 2, let me know as well if you happen to know. But the one I got from way back when is on ELRS version 2. Like I said, there might be a way to upgrade it in ExpressLRS configurator. I haven't looked into that, but if you are interested in videoing that, let me know in the comments below. Anyway, again, back on the gimbals here. I like the ergonomics of this one. I like the way it's kind of spread, a little bit further apart, and it's a little bit angled. I feel it's very comfortable to hold in the hands and use. So, in a lot of ways, I like this radio as sort of like just leave it in the car, and then maybe if I need an emergency backup transmitter because my battery died in my main transmitter, I might use this. Obviously, I have a lot of more expensive radios to use with Hall sensor gimbals, etc. So this is obviously not something I would use as a daily driver necessarily, but this is by no means a terrible radio. It's just very useful. If you start off on this one, I'm sure you could use this for a very long time. I know, people will say it's got potentiometer gimbals, but, potentiometer gimbals, they do last a long time. I mean, they'll still last many, many years of daily use of these radios. I mean, I had a FreeSky Taranis radio with potentiometer gimbals that I used for many, many years before one of the gimbals finally failed on me. But yeah, if you're like, there's like urban legends of like getting these radios and then the gimbals fail within the first day. I don't know how that happens, but I've never had anything like that happen to me. I expect that as long as it's manufactured correctly, it's not defective from the factory, the gimbals should, last many, many years. So, if you're getting into the hobby and you want something to start off with and maybe you don't want to spend a ton of money, this is not a bad option. You can definitely, it's not going to hold you back. You can definitely get this. It's going to have the latest version of ExpressLRS. You can get, after you've trained on some simulators and you buy your first bind and fly drone, it's likely going to have version 3 ExpressLRS, and then you can bind this up with that that receiver and go and fly it, and bind this up with many drones and fly this thing for many, many years. Unless you have very specific needs like long range, or you need like super low latency, certain features like EdgeTX features, etc. Maybe then this radio isn't for you. We want to look at something else, like the Pocket or the T-Lite, something like that. Obviously, it's going to cost you a bit more. This is, kind of in that budget, definitely in the budget category, but maybe a little bit better than, say, like the Beta FPV, the Light Radio 2, which I think is still on ExpressLRS 2, and that's limited to 100 milliwatts. So if you're really on a super budget, you can go with that route. That's like $45, but I would say spend the extra $10. You get 500 milliwatts, ExpressLRS 3, you get 2 large 18650 lithium ion cells. These batteries will last, I think, 6 hours on 500 milliwatts. So, and then obviously on lower power, it's going to last even longer. I've been using this for a few weeks now, and I haven't even charged it yet. So, supposedly you get a yellow light when the battery is low, and they'll turn red, and then you need to charge it. But I haven't even charged it yet, and I've been using this for a couple weeks now, on and off, testing different drones. Yeah. Overall, I like the ergonomics. It feels nice. The design's pretty decent. It works decently well. I don't think it's going to hold you back if you're a pilot and you want to use ExpressLRS on future drones. You could probably use this for many, many years and not have to upgrade. The fact that you can't configure it is a little bit of an issue. For example, so there's this capability here where you can take this little cover off here, and you have a nano module bay here. So you can use a Crossfire nano module on the back here. So this module bay uses Crossfire protocol. So you can't stick this this is the Crossfire nano module, and see it's trying to look for something to bind to. There's nothing, I don't have anything, the receiver's turned on right now. But when you plug that in, the internal transmitter of the ExpressLRS transmitter turns off, and then the power only goes to here. Now, what I've noticed is, because there's no screen on this, you can't configure it through the radio. You have to configure this using the, I think it's the TBS Agent M or Agent Web. So you just plug this into your computer via USB-C, and then you can use the web interface to set the power, etc. So if you set the power to dynamic or manual, it will actually keep those settings when you plug it into this transmitter, and it actually works. So if you want to power this up to 500 milliwatts or 1 watt, you just set that in the TBS agent web, and then it'll retain those settings. And when you plug it into here and power it up, it will retain those settings, and that's what you're going to get. So whether you won't be able to change any of the settings while it's attached to the radio, you have to then unplug this and plug it back into your computer to change the settings on this one. Now, what I found is when you plug in other Express LRS modules, so say for example you want to go with like this Radio Master Ranger 1 watt module here. It's got it's a nano bay module. Obviously you can't configure it via the web. You have to configure this on another transmitter. So again, this is not going to be, I'm not sure how practical this is going to be for you anyway, because you can go 500 milliwatts in this one. Having something like this isn't necessarily going to be that much of a benefit for you. This costs, I think this module costs more than a radio. So, it's kind of like, yeah, you can do this, but why would you? If you're going to go this route, you might as well get a higher end transmitter and spend the money. But what I found is when I configured this module on another radio and I set it to like a certain power level, it will show that power level on here. Now, dynamic power doesn't seem to work the same. So I found that it seems to work off of the power level that's on here. So if you have this set to 500 milliwatts, it will switch to 500 milliwatts on this one. So it kind of, in some ways, you are controlling this module through this radio, but it's a little, I don't know, it's not inconsistent. I haven't done a whole lot of testing on this because it's like this kind of use scenario is, I think, pretty, yeah. I mean, if you're one of those people that would use it like this, let me know. I don't know who those people would be, and if you are, let me know why you would use it like this, because I don't think there would be a lot of people that would buy this radio and then buy a module just to go on 1 watt. You can do it, but then without another radio, you have no way to configure this. So I don't see how useful this would be. Just pointing out that you could do it, but I'm not sure how useful it is going to be for someone that gets this radio. Okay, so I think I've covered all of the bases on this one. My conclusion is, I think it's a good starter radio if you have nothing and you want to maybe get this and start off on a simulator. So this is a good way to start FPV, is if you don't want to buy those starter kits and you don't want to fly a drone right away, just start off on a simulator. This is a good simulator radio. And later on, you can buy your first bind and fly drone with Express LRS version 3 receivers, bind it up, and then you can definitely go and fly these. And you can use this radio for many, many years. I see no reason why you wouldn't be able to use this as a general purpose radio for most situations for most people. Anyway, that's going to cover for this video. If you want to see more content on this one and deep dive, let me know, if you do and why, and then specifically what kind of content you would want to see in a future video. And I will, if I see enough interest in that, I will post that on my second channel. But I think that's going to cover for this video and this radio. Got any questions, let me know. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.